It's in his fish and chips. Search the fish and chips! Very well, Counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? He grabbed the guy! He grabbed the guy and was shaking him. He passed the disc onto that fucker to hide it. Search someone else! It's all coming together. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, didn't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects, please. Slappy. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? I was trying to think who could he have passed it on to? The fucking green guy. The pear man. Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, sunshine? Court shouldn't have put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you. Who's this? Oh, that was Iris. Bruno's doing what you all told him to do, and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Damn. Invoking national pride. Let's go, Iris. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction, and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be. So, of whom do you request this search now? Nash Skulkin. Professional baddie.
Take that!
Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never. Hey, blimey! Me am... Fucking Tweedledee and Tweedledum over here. Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects. Please, my lord. Inspector? Scotland Yard has to object to the search.
Objection!
I don't think so. Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But, Lord Van Zeeks! I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search. No, hold on a minute. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out! Ah! Here, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this. Busted. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Me fish engine! Order, order, order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett. I mean, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
I admit to nothing of the sort.
While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently.
Yeah, he didn't know. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was.
And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that?
I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned, grabbed me whistle like that and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear, all he did. Me head's still throbbing now.
The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character, but looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Oh, bless my wig, he hid it? You...
Oh, Gregs, I liked you.
But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
Well, no, he obtained it illegally. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions.
My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush? A top-secret assignment, is it?
As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from the confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector?
I'm operating under direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question.
So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness.
Does this mean...
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc into his pocket.
So, it was all pretense?
Indeed.
Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal?
Admit to it, yours truly. Please. Mr. Graydon! Clearly our East End visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection!
If only Edgeworth were here with his magical lawyer superpower of basic logic and reasoning. And object permanence. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. You're on the fucking stand, asshole! You are! What do you mean? You're on the fucking... Oh my gosh. That's, I mean, yeah. You've just summarized Starbane in a nutshell. I mean, what? Who said that? Fucking... of course you're under obligation to explain. You're in the fucking witness stand, you asshole! That's the point of the witness stand, is the I can't. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit. So sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder? Leaking government secrets? Striking a deal with the detective? All of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about. Any of that is about. You what? How is this still going? This is not the first time I felt this way in an Ace Attorney game. I feel like I can't remember which one, but there was a case in Apollo Justice, and I think there was another one in the Spirit of Justice game, where like there are certain cases where like you get to the end of them and you're like, all right, that wraps it up, and then there's just so many more reveal. It's like, we proved it like 5 times over. What do you mean? How are we still here? What, just because the witness said nuh-uh? You're a liar! Moving on! What the fuck? Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc?
Nuh-uh. Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice.
That's a really scary thing for someone to say.
So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when making your decisions.
Oh, he's crazy. Okay.
This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such an extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now, as fellow servant to Queen and Country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector.
Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me.
Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in the presence of idol. Stop. Oh my god.
Detective has very much trust in his eyes. More than this, I cannot say.
I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... They're gonna believe Gregson? If they declare their decision now... Is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're gonna lose. This is bonkers stupid. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets, or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness.
Well then, counsel, I think it's time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decisions, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to court.
If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Bruno. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Grayson? Oh god, I don't fucking know. I feel like at this point, I feel like I've demonstrated it like 5 times over, and at this point, I'm like, I don't even, what else is there left to demonstrate? So basically, we have to either find a piece of evidence that proves Gregson made the deal or proves that Graydon what is the killer. I feel like that first one is what we've been trying to do this whole fucking time. So I feel like that's probably a dead end. So probably Gregson, I think. But the question is what? I cannot believe this is still going. I thought it was over like an hour ago. I was like, well, that's that. We got it. We got the answer. No. It's a whole bunch of fucking nuh-uhs. Fucking Gregson. Say Gregson. Inspector Gregson. There is one final piece of evidence I would like you to see.
What's that then?
If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly.
Well, go on.
This is my last chance. Looks like I'm gonna have to force his hand here. The final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit to the deal he clearly struck with Graydon. Do we like bluff and say like, well, then we guess we have to listen to the discs, because we have them both now. We have both, now that we have both the discs, we can play this. But, you know, obviously he's like, that's his worst nightmare, so is that what we do? Like, admit it or we play this shit?
Take that!
Is that Mr. McGilded's peculiar music box, Counsel?
Yes, with a disc already in place ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we've just discovered set in place as well.
Goodness, this disc, Counsel?
Hold it!
No, wait! I can't let you do that!
Why not?
Because it's got nothing to do with this case, that's what!
Objection!
Not true, Inspector. The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And now we have a chance to confirm that theory.
For crying out loud, Sunshine! We're talking about state secrets here! If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason!
Then do you admit the charge? That's true, yeah, if he doesn't admit that this is the disc, then he can eject. That in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness.
You're mad! If you let that secret information out into the public domain, you'll be making of an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot!
Objection!
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. That you continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine. Yo! Fucking... I want the sunglasses to descend upon him. What a fucking badass! Let's go!
Don't you dare!
I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. Let's go! My lord, if you please, the court must hear the sounds made by that music box.
Come on, Van Zeeks! For Pete's sake, stop him!
Objection!
The heel stomp!
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet.
For
Get him! In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose a toast. To uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul.
No! Very well. The defense's stance here is that the prosecution, and that of the prosecution, has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen as this music box is set in operation once more. Oh boy. This time, with the second disc in place, and both discs playing simultaneously.
Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code.
Alright, I admit! Whatever you want, but for the love of God, shut that bloomin' box up!
That was badass, not gonna lie. Are we done now? Fuck! It just keeps going! Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you, or did you not, strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Specifically, did you furnish the witness with the confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector? I did.
Stop! What are you doing, man?
It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess, and we were stood here in the stand together, that's when he approached me with the deal.
Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed.
I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat.
By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury.
I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night, after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely, this. You were the third intruder who broke into the pawnbroker on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windabank.
You...
Oh shit. Traitor! Oh shit, oh my god! Oh my god! Bailiff? Does this court have a bailiff? Bailiff? Anyone? Did we just... Thank you!
Bailiff! Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once!
What the fuck? That's it then. It's all over. Is Gregson okay though? Is this, oh, this is probably the guy, right? I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying, to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole.
And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination.
But then you decided to try to sell government secrets. Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day, I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with a queer talent, so you are. I have money to throw you away if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me little plan now. I was to steal the Ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the Ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lure of the devil's offerings. How easy it is to succumb.
But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing.
And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable by using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker's apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again to employ his services. It was the first time I had seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier.
Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you become, eh?
He was a different man to the one in my memory. A thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made.
Music box discs, eh?
A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I've brought the score with me. There are 2, actually.
I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft.
This is actually pretty depressing. That's how I had him make the 2 discs. Thereby splitting the information in 2. You are taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of a deal? The exchange of the second disc? Yes. I'd sold the man information that way a number of times already. But it seems he became reluctant to part with his money.
But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon. For why was it on the omnibus 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded and not yourself.
When I received the 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me, Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore. That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of a monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore in my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge? Yo, was he the one who set the thing on fire? As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then. And I walked into that hornet's nest, completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. I'd made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in this city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that... I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in this courtroom to ensure that he walked free. I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. That tragic accident following the trial 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man. Damn. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me in... Was that him?! You'd like to follow me into the courtroom? What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. That's how British people say schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell McGilded he could examine the omnibus again. That's right. An imposter, hired by me. Oh, no, it wasn't him. Okay. Fair. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. Also, I like how his cane is back in pristine condition. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded.
Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime.
When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs, and the music box you'll need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man. What's this? Windibank's pawnbrokery? Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article you've deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I've put a jewel in pawn for you. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Crichton? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. So I knew that if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now. That when we first met you at Windibank's that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the trial. That pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns, that he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket. So I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion that the girl would come out the... Oh my god, it's been 4.5 hours! My ability to read, the fact that it's lasted this long, is actually kind of incredible. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Windibank's to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat and the one disc that was in his pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing, because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion.
Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved.
Inspector, you recovered fast.
My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm glad he's alright. He got fucking... I thought he got, like... his back broke, like, Bane style. But no, he's good.
So we started gathering the fella's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard. But we had to keep it quiet as we could.
Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc was still there in the shop somewhere. So I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery, I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I'd located the music box I'd sold to McGilded on the night on the shelves of forfeited articles. And the second disc was inside. Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened.
What are you doing in my shop? Bang.
A gunshot rang out in the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun, and the bullet pierced your limb. Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I had decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge.
Sorry tale.
It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windbanks on that wretched night. Damn. Earlier, you called McGilded a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for a crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done, it's exactly the same. Here's our own. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded. Yes, I think I have.
Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial, yet you are fucking kidding. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He has been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Winterbank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector? Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course.
It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable.
Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Oh, yeah?
It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir. Garradam Squadron standing by, sir. This really is it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. These fucking deep voices. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yay!
Haha, that's the stuff! I'm off the hook! Finally, Runo, you finally managed to do it!
Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there.
Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world.
Miss Lestrade, I'm not finished with you yet.
What you look at me like that for? Oh yeah, the perjury thing.
Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider.
Eh?
2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windybank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGillicud's property, it seems.
Eh? I never done nothing of the sort.
Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGillicud's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Oh my god.
Oh, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense, determining that, when played together, the music box discs contained a message in Morse code was... Well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel.
Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast. To demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom. Oh my god. But very sorry about that. It was the only way that I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so...
If I may say something about that
On that point, is that Gregson? Isn't that... Oh! It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. Oh my god. What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact.
Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession, one feels.
But I must say that in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs were nothing more than that, a meaningless series of two different tones. What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? My lord, the defense No! No, Ryunosuke! No! This is good! Stop! Don't push it! The defense would like to listen to the music box again.
Oh, you wolf, you're not! How many times do I have to tell you? Those discs contain ministerial secrets, sunshine!
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government communications. I'm guessing that the discs were probably in the wrong slots. Maybe they have to be, like, swapped or something. Oh my god. We know McGillicud conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further. But it's really gonna bother me. Ryunosuke, buddy. Don't push it. Take the dub. Take it. Hold it. Cherish it.
Miss Lestrade.
Yeah, my lord?
That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity.
Appalling experience to befall any child.
Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums.
Beg your pardon?
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I'll work something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you gotta start at home. You gotta change how you are yourself.
Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again.
I very much look forward to your change, in that I will never see your face again. The true test.
Now, with regard to the murder of Pop Winterbank, Mr. Pop Winterbank, the controller has died. The court hereby finds this controller not charged. Buck. Proprietor of a pawnbrokery business on Baker Street. I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Let's go! Fireworks! Oh my god. Hell yeah! Chekhov's firework gun? It all came back.
That is all. Court is adjourned.
Yay!